Perspective can be intimidating for beginners and even intermediate artists. I was no different. When I started art school, I had very little understanding of perspective, but the only way to stop fearing it is to just learn how to use it. Like and subscribe, and check out all my links in the description. Alright, so let's get into it. 3 simple steps: horizon line, vanishing point, converging line. Horizon line is where the sky meets the ground, but it's also the eye level or the camera level. So when you start moving the horizon line up and down, you're going to change the view of the camera. Vanishing point is a single point in the case of 1-point perspective that is placed on the horizon line. Converging line means that all the lines that are not vertical or horizontal converge to one point that's on the horizon. Alright, so I'm drawing a horizon line and a vanishing point, and then I'm drawing a box or a square. And now all the lines that are not horizontal or vertical converge to that point, and that's how you can draw an accurate box that will be accurate with the perspective. So you can draw a box above the horizon line, below the horizon line, and just practice this way so you can see how this works. You can also make a 1-point perspective grid to help you sketch over top and kind of know what's going on with the perspective and not be so worried about it. So this is a super fast way to do this. I'm kind of eyeballing the size of the squares. There's actually a better way, like a more accurate way. Create the perspective grid where the squares are 100% same size. I might do another video to show how to do that. So that's all great, but how can you actually use it? So the one way you can use it is to just put the grid on a layer and over top just start sketching and use lines and use the perspective of the grid to help out with drawing the streets like windows and pavement and all of that. But another way you can do that, and that's actually the way I'm mostly doing it, is to just start painting and use the perspective that way and just work with the shapes instead of creating shapes with lines. It's a little bit more difficult at the beginning because you need to kind of consider all the different faces of the object and maybe indicate a very general lighting, but it's a good way to design this way because you can just focus on shapes and silhouettes and a little bit of perspective, but then you're not really worried about the details. You kind of blocking bigger shapes first, and then as you're painting you start dealing with the smaller shapes, and I just find it a lot faster once you get used to it. It's much more fun. So initially I'm doing it with just 2 values, so like a dark and then there's just a white, and then once I'm kind of happy with the biggest shapes I can add a third value, maybe a gray of some sort, and then start adding more details within those shapes. So here I'm just painting, a thumbnail for a street, I guess. And you can see I have the perspective grid underneath, and you can see me using it to make sure that some aspects are accurate with the perspective. Now, you can do a very loose painting or sketch with lines, and then after that, go back and make sure everything works with the perspective perfectly. That's going to kind of kill some of the flow of the painting. So you can then go back and paint over top again to bring back some of the energy and the looseness from the beginning. But mostly when you're doing thumbnails like this one, you don't really need to have the perspective like 100% perfect. You just need it to be good enough that you can tell what's going on So I'm just kind of adding a reflection there, maybe indicate that, maybe there's some wet surfaces. And I'm obviously looking at some references as I'm doing this. I'm not making everything up. And after you have some of the stuff, some of the main details and buildings, you can start adding more details if you want. And you can start playing with the lighting with like filters and stuff like that. Here I'm adding windows. There's a way to do windows and shapes that are receding into the horizon. There's a way to do it accurately with the perspective. I'll do another video about that. Here I'm just kind of eyeballing it, making the shapes get smaller and smaller. Also, one note, there's like atmospheric perspective. So outside, everything that's really, really far away is going to be lighter and more desaturated for the most part. So what I'm doing right now is I'm changing the lightness of the stuff that's further away to mimic that. Like, subscribe, and check out all the links in the description.